Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming with a Rico report. Several things to discuss today. First of all, another great hire from the Washington football team. Finally got a psychologist in the building. Next up, we'll talk about some of the high praises going on for a lot of these Washington football team players, especially these young guys. After that, we have to talk about this Heinicke transformation and then some more. And before we get into the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. Endless content like this. Film sessions coming out for the entire rookie class. I'm already starting to watch their film in great detail, so be on the lookout for those. I have organized playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. And definitely hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I live stream. Every time I release a video like this one, you'll get the notification immediately rather than later on or maybe never. But without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, another great hire for the Washington football team. They hired Dr. Barbara Roberts as our first full-time director of wellness and clinical services, one of only 7 in the NFL. This is also the franchise's first full-time psychologist. And when they say first full-time, I don't think it's like we just had a whole bunch of interns in and out and just random people holding a position or anything like that. I think this is the first time we've just ever had a licensed psychologist hired by this franchise. She's a licensed psychologist and former clinical associate professor in Georgetown's Department of Psychiatry. So she's been working in the DC area. She doesn't even have to move. And it's interesting too, because in 2019, the NFL and NFLPA mandated that every team will have a behavioral health clinician available to players at the team's facility at least twice a week for a minimum 8 to 12 hours. Dr. Roberts is the 4th full-time clinician with a PhD in psychology working for an NFL team. And even better, she said that she has a 24/7 policy with the players. They can call her at any hour if there's any issue, which is great. I mean, because a lot of players go through a lot of things, especially with CTE and just, I mean, even money management. You know, your family members asking you for things. You're trying to balance how much to give them, how much not to give them. It's so many things players go through. Adjusting, going from college to being fully grown on your own, making your own decisions, handling that much money. I mean, most players are coming from nothing and now they're suddenly millionaires and they're adults. They go from being children and broke to adults and millionaires like this. And of course, I mean, they need financial guidance and leadership and need to know how to invest their money, save their money and things like that. But there's also a lot of mental and emotional parts behind the sport of football. So it's great to know that we have somebody like this that people can call all of the time. This is definitely a very progressive move. Already did a video a couple of weeks ago breaking down all of the great and unique hires we've done as far as diversity. But this one is just great as far as making our franchise one of the elite franchises, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And I'm not exactly sure how this directly results in more wins immediately for us, but I definitely feel like it will have great long-term benefits, because even somebody like a Sewell Cravens, maybe all he needed was a Barbara Roberts. Maybe he would still be here to this day with his crazy athleticism. And I know his name is almost like Voldemort, like don't bring it up because it brings up bad memories and sad times and things like that. But this is real. Having somebody that can help mentally and emotionally support these players matters a lot. I mean, even as you're getting older, not even just the guys going from college to the NFL and that adjustment period and that development, that's a very sensitive stage in itself. But then even just veterans like Ryan Fitzpatrick having to move from team to team, that has to be fairly taxing. I mean, players out here fighting for their lives right now in OTAs and training camp and things like that. Her line's probably going to be buzzing during these off-season workouts. And then, you know, with injuries, the emotional trauma that comes with receiving injury, not even just because like it hurts and you need somebody to calm you down and everything, but also like it can be depressing when your season ends and then now you're not entirely too sure about your job security. So again, I reiterate, Barbara Roberts was a great hire. Again, not necessarily sure how this directly leads us into more wins. This singular hire does not turn us into Super Bowl contenders. But all of the hires we've made the past 2 years since we've had Ron Rivera all contribute, and this one does play a role. Moving on, the Washington football team players are getting a lot of praise out here as well. Pro Football Focus came out with their top 10 outside corners. William Jackson was 9th. And I like that. I mean, I respect that. I'm actually surprised somebody outside of Washington football team nation is praising any of our players outside of Chase Young just in general. So I'm surprised that William Jackson's even there, even though he is a top 10 corner in my opinion. But even in the past, when I've objectively felt like Washington football team players have been great, that doesn't necessarily mean they get the recognition they deserve amongst the national media and analysts and broadcasters and things like that. I mean, London Fletcher still isn't in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's everything we need to say. But even on top of that, William Jackson probably won't end the season 9th. I think he's going to rise up this board. Not necessarily saying he's going to be number 1, maybe not even top 5, but I definitely think he ends the season higher than 9. He has the best situation around him out of all of these guys. Maybe only Denzel Ward can compete as far as the defense around them and the defensive line that they're playing behind. So how long will they even actually have to cover? Because like Xavier Howard, I mean, poor guy, he's out here covering for forever some plays. So the fact that he's number 4 is insane in itself. I mean, even Jair Alexander, number 1, first of all, nobody's better than Jalen Ramsey. That's just like, if you look at the tape, I don't care. It's still Jalen Ramsey. But still, I mean, even the fact that Jair Alexander's up there and it's Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, which is not Montez Sweat or Chase Young at all. So I'm saying all of that to say that William Jackson, again, out of this top 10, has the easiest situation around him. So I think just based on his natural talent, I think we're going to get 2017 out of him. And again, remember, 2017, it was statistically better in QBR for a quarterback to just throw the ball out of bounds every play rather than throw it to William Jackson. That was the year he statistically had one of the best cornerback seasons in NFL history. And remember, he was going against T.Y. Hilton in his prime, Antonio Brown at the top of his game, playing at an MVP level twice in one season. Because remember, he played for the Bengals. Antonio Brown played for the Steelers. That was back when Ben Roethlisberger was balling. I mean, he shut down everybody he went against that year. I think he'll get back to that form this year. He even said it himself. He just needs a change of scenery. No, most importantly, you need a better defensive line in front of you. So instead of covering for 5 to 8 seconds every play, you're covering for like 2 to 4. That's how you become a more productive corner. The talent's there, but this defensive line is going to have William Jackson up there in the conversation of top 5 corners. Watch. Then they also ranked their safeties. They did their top 32. Cameron Curl was 20th. And remember, this is a 7th round pick after only his rookie season. Last year was his rookie season. No real offseason. Remember that. With Chase Young, Cameron Curl, everybody we drafted last year, they didn't even really get an offseason. All they got was a little bit of training camp that had like a rev up period, so they weren't even going super 100% day one. They had to ramp it up week by week, so it really wasn't even a full training camp, let alone no rookie mini camps, no OTAs, no mandatory mini camps, and barely a training camp, no preseason. And Cameron Curl is already ranked a top 20 safety. And again, just like William Jackson, especially because of the situation around him, also because I feel like Cameron Curl is just that good, he's definitely going to end the year. If they do this list again at the end of the year, he's going to be higher than number 20. I'm feeling like somewhere in the 8 to 15 range. We'll see though. Depends on how great can he build on what he did last year. I believe he will, but we'll see. And they said, quote, a 7th round rookie. And again, I'm gonna keep telling y'all this. Cameron Curl was the biggest steal of last year's draft, period. Like, that's just, regardless of what any other team did, Cameron Curl was the biggest steal of last year's draft. We got to keep talking about it. A 7th round rookie, Cameron Curl was one of the steals of the draft a year ago. No, he was the steal of the draft a year ago, but we'll take it. One of the standout rookies of the season. What was even more impressive was the development he showed over the season. His overall PFF grade jumping from 53.1 to 74.4 from the first half of the season to the second. Curl could be primed for a big sophomore campaign. And Cameron Curl is a perfect example of why you need to really listen to what Ron Rivera is saying. When Ron Rivera loves a guy, they're going to work out. Because you can remember during the offseason with that limited training camp, Ron Rivera kept having high praise for Cameron Curl. We couldn't really see much out of training camp with the limited access that the media had for it, so we just had to take their word on things. And he kept saying that Cameron Curl was looking really good out there. And the most notable quote about Cameron Curl leaving that limited training camp is that he never makes the same mistake twice. Ron Rivera loved him coming out of training camp, going into the regular season, and look how he turned out. Very smart player. And then Pro Football Focus on their Twitter account also put out a post, who was the #1 edge rusher in the NFL? Who's the best edge defender in the entire NFL? And it's 6 choices. You have Khalil Mack, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Chase Young. And even though I don't feel like Chase Young is the best yet, again, just like William Jackson and Cameron Curl, maybe by the end of the season things change. But what I take from this is just, I'm really happy that he's even included in this top 6. The fact that he's up there with these other greats is amazing to me. Again, especially since he's not even at his best. He has so many things that when you watch his tape, you can nitpick about and be like, you can get better here. You can obviously get better with this. You need to add more strength. You need to get a better bull rush, things like that. So he's, to me, only about like 70% as great as he's gonna be. So I think by the end of this season, definitely by the end of his career, some point in his prime, maybe like 3 years down the line, he will be the best edge rusher in the NFL. Again, I don't think he is as of right now, but I like the fact that he's already in this top 6 discussion. Moving on, man, hey, Taylor Heinicke not playing with him, y'all. Look at this man. Taylor Heinicke in 2020 versus Taylor Heinicke in 2021. Yo, he said he is not playing. Ryan Fitzpatrick pulled up. Heinicke probably thought at the end of the last season that this was his job to lose. Then here comes Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now he's about to go out there and ball in the offseason workouts. And again, like I even did an entire video on Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Taylor Heinicke and why either of them should win the QB battle, presenting stats, grades, advanced analytics, and things like that. And I'm really excited to see this QB battle. Of course, as of right now, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the QB1. He plays with the #1 offense against the #1 defense in practice. But that's not to say that Taylor Heinicke can't just ball out and then Ron Rivera, Scott Turner do a double take like, wait a minute, let's see what Taylor Heinicke can do with the ones against the ones. And the main reason I'm showing this is just because of how much of a difference there is in his arms and how much he's worked out, man. He is buffed up. He is determined to not only make this team, but to fight for that starting QB spot, honestly. I mean, look at this guy. Like, what happened? Who he been working out with? Like, who did quarterbacks don't normally just leave the offseason with skinny, regular arms and come back like SpongeBob when he had to blow up the balloons, when he was trying to compete with Larry the Lobster and them. I don't know what he did, man. Moving on, very random, but very interesting. Here's the amount of different players Ryan Fitzpatrick has completed a pass to, 144, thrown a touchdown to, 62, thrown an interception to, 132, been sacked by 225, and been tackled by 912. That is crazy. So random, I know, not very important, but I saw this and I felt like y'all would be interested in knowing those stats. So I felt like I would show y'all that. Not much to discuss there. He's just been everywhere. He's been in this league for a long time. Remember, he has more starts than any NFC East quarterback combined. Like, it's crazy. And then lastly, Montez Sweat and Charles Leno finally pulled up for OTAs. Remember, when OTAs first started, Steven Sims wasn't there. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and Charles Leno also weren't there. Projected starting left tackle, Charles Leno was not there because his wife recently had a baby. Now he's there. He's ready to go and earn this starting left tackle spot because it's not going to be handed to him for sure. Then Montez Sweat finally pulled up. I'm not exactly sure where Chase Young is. I know Montez Sweat was reportedly training elsewhere. Chase Young is more than likely doing the same. And then Steven Sims finally pulled back up, but that wasn't reported. I don't know why he missed the first day. We haven't gotten reports as to why he wasn't there, but at least he's there now. Still highly doubt he makes the team, but at least he's there. So right now, Chase Young is just the only guy not at OTAs right now. Nothing to worry about, but I would prefer for him to still be there, just leadership wise, but it's nothing alarming at all. And at the same time, with Montez Sweat and Chase Young gone, that gave William Bradley King, Shaka Toney, James Smith-Williams, all of the other edge rushers on the team, the opportunity to get in some really good practice snaps and to show what they can do and develop. Because it's not even just proving yourself, but we know with them all being either rookies or going into their second season, well, James Smith-Williams barely played last year, so he's technically like a redshirt freshman, redshirt rookie. So these snaps are very important for them. Again, not even necessarily to just prove what they can do, but they just need these snaps so that they can improve on their games. So I still prefer Chase Young and Montez Sweat to be there. I prefer if everybody's there 100% attendance, but at the end of the day, a lot of these teams out here are only in the 50% range of attendance. Like only half of their players are showing up to OTAs. So we can't be mad when only 4 don't show up for 1 week and then the next week is only just 1 not there. But still, it'd be nice to get 100% like the Bengals. Maybe Chase Young pulls up last second at OTAs. But everybody's going to be there for mandatory minicamp, which is next week. And of course, everybody's going to be there for training camp. But yeah, man, that's the end of this Rico report. Please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release an informative and opinionated video like this one. As always, man, I really appreciate all of the support big time from all of y'all. Big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. Big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Big shouts out to all of y'all. A special shouts out to my one All-Pro sponsor, Jaden. Man, I really appreciate all y'all. Man, I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.